It has been nearly a week since Texas House Democrats walked out of the special session and took off to Washington, D.C. Good evening. I'm Shern Min Chow. Xavier Walton is on assignment. The House Democrats broke quorum last Monday to avoid passing new GOP-backed Texas voting laws. Our Janelle Bluda is in D.C. And Janelle, we're learning that the Texas Democrats now have more cases of COVID-19.
Sherman, House Democrats are doing rapid testing every day here at the hotel. Today, 2 more members tested positive, but they are fully vaccinated and say they're feeling fine. The Texas Democrats' week at the Capitol has been filled with success and a minor setback. After daily testing, a total of 5 House Democrats here in Washington have tested positive for COVID. 2 of them tested positive Sunday. All say they have mild or no symptoms. Of the 5, State Representative Celia Israel of Austin and State Representative Trey Martinez Fisher of San Antonio have self-identified as being positive.
There's an instant reaction like, okay, how'd that happen? I don't feel anything. And then there's this other reality about just how serious these variants are.
Speaking to us from his hotel room in D.C., Martinez Fisher says he feels good despite his positive result.
Even though I'm fully vaccinated, I still tested positive. And luckily, as of now, I have some very, very minor symptoms.
And says he plans to keep working right there from his room.
But this week will be we'll be in classroom setting for the most part. So COVID has taught us how to do these things virtually.
Those 55 legislators who broke quorum met with members of Congress to try and push for the passage of new federal voting rights legislation. They met with Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Senators Joe Manchin and Cory Booker. They also met with Vice President Kamala Harris Tuesday. The vice president did not quarantine after her meeting with the Democrats. Her office said she and her staff were not in close contact with those initially infected. Starting tomorrow, Texas Democrats will join a roundtable discussion with elected officials and activists from all across the country to share ideas, best practices, and legislative items that they say can be used to create free, fair, and secure elections. Because of the COVID cases, all events tomorrow will be virtual. The Democrats say they will be in Washington, D.C. as long as they have to. But while they are here, arrest warrants issued by Governor Abbott wait for them at home. Back to you.
All right, of course, to take them not to jail, but the state capitol and that legislative agenda.